touch me, please. I can't stand. The officer doesn't stop. He yanks the wheelchair backward, and the man's body jerks forward as the crowd gasps. It's the middle of a busy downtown intersection, cars frozen, horns blaring, and a disabled man, Daniel, is being dragged out of his wheelchair while people pull out their phones. The officer keeps shouting over him, accusing him of cursing at drivers and causing chaos in traffic. But Daniel isn't fighting. He's trying to speak, pointing toward the lights, his voice shaking as he insists something's wrong. No one seems to listen! The officer tightens the cuffs anyway, forcing him down as someone in the crowd yells, "He was helping!" Then suddenly, a second voice cuts through the noise, sharp, authoritative. "Officer, what exactly is going on here?" Everything freezes for a split second, and the officer's expression changes. He doesn't let go of Daniel, but his grip shifts less chaotic, more controlled, like he's suddenly aware of who's watching. A uniformed supervisor steps closer, scanning the scene. The tipped wheelchair, the growing crowd, the phones pointed straight at them. Daniel is on the pavement now, breathing hard, his cheek pressed against the hot concrete, still trying to speak through clenched breaths. He's been yelling at drivers disrupting traffic, Officer Cole says quickly, almost rehearsed, refusing to comply. That's not. Daniel tries to push himself up, but the cuffs tighten. The light just look at the light. "Sir, stop talking," Cole snaps, louder this time, cutting him off before he can finish. A woman from the sidewalk steps forward, pointing toward the intersection. "He wasn't causing anything. He was directing cars." The signal's been, "Ma'am, step back," the officer interrupts, not even turning to look at her. The supervisor's eyes follow her gesture anyway, up toward the traffic lights flickering above the intersection, then back down to Daniel on the ground. For a moment, no one moves. Then a car suddenly screeches to a halt just behind them, another near miss, and every head turns at once. Daniel closes his eyes, his voice barely above a whisper. "Now, I told you, someone's going to get hurt. Before we go anywhere further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss." The moment Daniel says that, something shifts in the air. Because what happens next proves he might not be the one lying. The supervisor takes one step forward, eyes locked on the intersection instead of the arrest. Traffic is still moving, but unevenly cars hesitating, some braking too late, others swerving slightly, as if no one fully trusts the lights anymore. A delivery truck inches forward, then suddenly stops again, confused. Officer Cole notices the supervisor looking away and quickly tightens his stance. "Sir, I already explained he was causing disruption. People called it in." But Daniel, still on the ground with his wrist cuffed, shakes his head hard. "No, please, just look up. The green light is staying on too long. It's not switching properly." The supervisor doesn't respond immediately. Instead, he studies the intersection. A taxi rolls forward under a green light, then freezes mid-turn as cross-traffic also moves at the same time. A horn blares. Then another. That's when the supervisor's tone changes slightly. "When did this start?" Cole answers too fast. "I don't know. He was in the middle of the road shouting at drivers. That's all I saw." A nearby shop owner steps forward, phone still recording. "Officer, he's been here for minutes trying to warn people. There was almost an accident before you arrived." Cole turns sharply. "Sir, step back." But now, more voices are joining in. People who were silent before begin pointing at the lights, at the timing, at the near-miss moments no one fully noticed until now. Daniel lifts his head slightly, voice strained. "I wasn't trying to control traffic. I was stopping it from collapsing." The supervisor finally looks up directly at the traffic signal. And for the first time, he sees it too. The light cycle is clearly malfunctioning, two directions briefly sharing green. Before anyone can fully process what that means, a loud crash of brakes echoes from the far end of the intersection. And a car doesn't stop in time. Go. Re-engagement line. The screech hits first, then the impact almost follows. Metal doesn't fully collide, but it comes terrifyingly close. Two cars slam brakes at the exact same time from opposite directions, tires smoking, engines revving in panic as drivers jerk the wheels to avoid what should have been a direct crash. For a second, The entire intersection freezes in chaos. Then everything erupts: horns, shouting, doors opening, people stepping out into the road in disbelief. Officer Cole doesn't look at the lights anymore. He looks at Daniel. "You caused this," he says sharply, voice rising. "You stepped into traffic. You confused drivers. This is exactly what I'm talking about." Daniel shakes his head hard, struggling against the cuffs digging into his wrists. "No, listen to me. The signal is broken. It's giving green to both sides. I tried to stop them before someone got hit." The supervisor raises a hand, but he doesn't silence Daniel this time. He's watching the intersection more carefully, now counting the timing, tracking the pattern. Another cycle begins. Green, then green again on the crossing lane. No red overlap, no proper stop phase. A low murmur spreads through the crowd. "That's not normal," someone says. A second witness steps forward, holding up their phone. "I have it recorded. He was standing there waving cars down before police even arrived." Cole turns slightly, irritation breaking into something sharper. "Everybody here is not trained traffic control. He could have made it worse." But Daniel interrupts him, voice cracking but steady. "I was already in the street when it started failing. I didn't cause it. I reacted to it." The supervisor finally speaks again, quieter now. "Cole, did you check the signal box or call traffic control before making the arrest?" A pause. Cole hesitates for the first time. And that hesitation changes everything. Because from the corner of the intersection, a city traffic technician vehicle is just now pulling in, lights flashing, as if responding to a problem that was already there long before police ever arrived. The traffic technician steps out of the vehicle and the entire mood of the scene tightens instantly. He doesn't look confused. He looks worried. A yellow reflective vest, clipboard in hand, and a radio already crackling at his shoulder, he scans the intersection like he's confirming a fear he already had before arriving. His eyes go straight to the signal pole above the junction. Then he stops. "Yeah," he mutters under his breath, "that's exactly what I was afraid of." Officer Cole immediately steps toward him. "Your traffic control?" "Yes," the technician replies, still not looking away from the lights. "We got an alert 10 minutes ago malfunction in the signal synchronization system. It was supposed to be isolated." Daniel lifts his head slightly from the pavement. 10 minutes ago. The technician nods once, more to himself than anyone else. "This intersection is cycling green on both directions intermittently. It's a control board fault." A silence drops over the crowd. Cole's posture shifts. "So you're saying what? He's right?" The technician finally looks at Daniel for the first time, then at the wheelchair lying on its side a few feet away, then back to the intersection, still misfiring in real time. "I'm saying," he replies carefully, "this man wasn't causing the traffic problem. He was standing inside it." A few people in the crowd start reacting immediately, phones lifting higher, voices rising again, the energy flipping from confusion to outrage. But Cole shakes his head fast. He was still in the roadway yelling at civilians. That's dangerous behavior. Daniel exhales sharply. "I wasn't yelling at them. I was trying to get them to stop before they entered both green lights at once." The technician raises a hand. "Actually, that would explain the near collision reports we're seeing." Cole turns sharply. "Reports?" The technician taps his radio. "We had 2 almost accidents before patrol even arrived. That's why I was dispatched." For the first time, Cole doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he looks at Daniel, still cuffed, still on the ground, and then at the supervisor, who hasn't spoken in nearly a minute. And then the supervisor says something that changes the direction of everything. "Officer, why did you arrest him before confirming any of this?" That question hangs in the air longer than anything else that day. Officer Cole doesn't answer right away. Instead, he shifts his weight, jaw tight, eyes flicking between the supervisor, the technician, and Daniel still on the ground in handcuffs. The crowd has gone quiet again, but this time it's not confusion, it's expectation. "I responded to multiple calls," Cole finally says. "Reports of a man in the middle of traffic yelling at drivers. That's what I acted on." Daniel exhales sharply. I was in the middle of preventing people from driving into each other. The technician steps closer to the intersection, still studying the signal cycle. He's not exaggerating. Look, this phase overlap is random. It's not predictable. That's why it's dangerous. A sudden car horn interrupts him, another vehicle hesitating mid-intersection as both directions briefly turn green again. A driver slams on brakes, narrowly avoiding a collision. That moment lands harder than anything said so far. The supervisor finally gestures toward Daniel. Unlock him! Cole hesitates. Sir! I said unlock him. A beat of silence. Then the cuffs click open. Daniel rubs his wrist slowly, still on the pavement, breathing uneven. He doesn't stand immediately. He just looks up at the broken intersection, as if confirming what he already knew. Cole steps back slightly, his voice lower now but still defensive. Even if the light is malfunctioning, he escalated the situation. He caused panic in the roadway. A witness immediately interrupts from the crowd. He was guiding traffic before you even got here. Another voice joins in. Then another. The supervisor raises a hand again, trying to control the growing noise, but the situation is already shifting out of his hands. And then the technician says something quietly that cuts through everything. If this wasn't handled when he first flagged it, we could have had fatalities in minutes. That word lands, heavy fatalities. For the first time, Cole looks back at Daniel without speaking. And Daniel, still on the ground beside his overturned wheelchair, looks back at him and says one thing that changes the tone completely. I tried to tell you before it got worse. The supervisor slowly turns toward Cole. And what he says next makes it clear this isn't ending here. The supervisor doesn't raise his voice, but that almost makes it worse. Officer Cole, he says, calm and controlled, step aside for a moment. Cole stiffens. Sir, I was responding to an active disturbance. I said step aside. A silence drops instantly. Even the crowd stops moving. The technician steps back slightly, sensing the shift. Daniel remains on the ground, now fully awake to what's happening, watching every reaction carefully. Cole finally moves a few steps away, but his frustration is visible. Tight shoulders, clenched jaw, the kind of restraint that's starting to crack. The supervisor turns toward Daniel again. Tell me exactly what you saw when this started. Daniel hesitates, then speaks carefully. The lights began overlapping green phases. At first, I thought it was a delay. Then I saw cars almost collide. I moved into the intersection to stop them from entering at the same time. The technician nods immediately. That matches a synchronization failure pattern. It can escalate quickly if not shut down. A bystander raises their phone higher. He was literally standing between cars so they wouldn't hit each other. Cole cuts in sharply. Or he stepped into traffic and created confusion. But now even the supervisor doesn't respond to that immediately. Instead, he gestures toward Daniel's wheelchair. Why didn't you just call this in? Daniel's voice tightens slightly. I did, twice. No response came in time. That statement lands differently now. The technician looks up. If there was a delay in dispatch or miscommunication, that would explain why patrol arrived late. Cole immediately shakes his head. That's speculation. But the supervisor isn't looking at Cole anymore. He's looking at Daniel's overturned wheelchair, then the intersection still malfunctioning behind them, then the growing crowd that is no longer uncertain, only watching. And then he makes a decision that changes the entire direction of the scene. Pull the body cam footage.